it's kind of like a Band-Aid, you know? Do you take it off slowly, you know, inch by inch, millimeter by millimeter, or do you just rip the thing off? And I think this week, we didn't rip the Band-Aid completely off, but we ripped it like halfway off.
It's the right thing to do because that's where students are. We know that students don't read print the way they used to, that students are married and buried with their phones. And anything we can do to get information to them in the way that they use it is what we need to be doing. We need to be telling stories in the ways that students get their news to be able to interact with them. It's not about money. It's just something that we should have been doing a little more digitally focused a long time ago.
We will obviously be continuing with all the President's Men, but some big news in campus journalism today. Don't know if any of you were paying attention, but this is a journalism class, so we'll at least discuss it. So if you're not in the news, the CW announced today, this letter from the editor, announcing a few notable things. The first is that the newspaper is kind of reorganizing into sort of a media enterprise, not necessarily connected directly to a newspaper anymore. It's officially a news magazine, if you've noticed. And they're switching to printing twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays, I believe.
If we're going online, then the Crimson White has to compete with literally every other possible news source all across the entire internet. And why would we go to the Crimson White when we could go to like all these much more reputable, much more like large scale news sources, or just watch YouTube like cat videos?
If it's not being covered by other newspapers, it's almost like it's not really a big enough story that I want to take the time to read it. Like I'd rather be focusing on things that are happening nationally or worldwide across the country, something like that. Like a lot of the stories that I feel like the Crimson White are publishing aren't stories that are significant or impactful to me when I have limited time to view the news on a daily basis.
Basically, what they told me was, we want to make every story important. And we're not going to try to cut corners and say, hey, this isn't important, because pretty much is. Like, it might not be important to some of y'all, but like, it's important.
Anything else?
I teach the basic reporting class with a bunch of students today, and I was telling them that if you can find information and decide what's important and then tell it well, the format doesn't matter. I mean, we start by print because that's where you have to start, it seems to me, and then you can branch out in all these other things. And so we have to teach our students all of these things, and the Crimson White is now much more open and available and ready for all of these other things that are done in the digital world that our students expect.
And tell me your name and what you do here.
I'm Sean Landry. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Crimson White.
Why do you think that this was the right time to make this change at the CW?
I think that we collectively realized, myself, my staff, the media planning board, that there wasn't a whole lot of sense in holding on to the way that we were doing business and a way of absorbing news that isn't as relevant now as it used to be. And by committing to 4 pages or 4 print editions a week, we were sort of hamstringing ourselves in terms of digital news, which is probably where we need to meet our audience.
So since you posted your letter,
yes,
what has the feedback been like, largely?
Largely positive. There has been the occasional message of whether it's an alum or somebody who doesn't really know the situation of sadness that the print product is going away, or maybe thinking that we're in some kind of trouble as an organization, which is the opposite of true. But most of the reception that I've gotten has been positive.
Campus media has to serve two distinct jobs. The first, informing, encouraging, debate, serving the campus community. And second, and probably primarily, serving as a teaching facility, a teaching ground for new students, new journalists. I think with this change, they will be better positioned to function in 21st century journalism. So, at least going forward, I think it's on better footing. But as being a guy who saw sun up and sundown in that old newsroom, it's hard letting go of that print product. It really is. But it's time.
It made me nostalgic. It's a little sad. And, you know, I think about my days at the Crimson White and how much fun I had. But in the general sense, I think it's a great thing. And I think that it's a great way to move forward. We're definitely in the digital age. And they're still going to have some print, and so it's not completely gone, and we'll still have that little bit to hold on to for probably a little while longer until that goes away. But, you know, I think this is a great move, and it's a way to move forward. It's not just, you know, a way to, you know, conserve, I guess, paper and all that stuff, and that in itself is a great reason. But moving forward, there's so much more flexibility you can have in digital media. There's so much more you can do. There's so much more doors that are open to you in the way that you can deliver your content. And so I was excited about it.
This is a change that comes from strength. It's not because the paper is losing money and worried about the future. It's about giving students what they need where they are right now, helping the student journalists as well as helping the student readers as well as the community by giving them information in the ways that they expected in this new era.
There's a really nice lady in our office I used to be in that would go around each morning and she'd put a Crimson White on everybody's desk. And that was very nice of her, and I loved it. And you know, like I said, I would skim through the paper and hit all the pages and hit the highlights, and I would walk into the next door and throw it in the recycle bin. And that was the process every day. So you think about all that paper that fills up. When I could just as easily have received an email or been on Twitter or Facebook or whatever and gotten the same link and gone online to the website and read the same story, and you know, none of that process would have been involved. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
I think when you talk about the quality and integrity of journalism, what you're really talking about is the quality and integrity of journalists. And so if we continue to ingrain a commitment to high quality in our employees and a commitment to the kind of journalism that we've always done, then it's not really something I'm concerned about.
I think it gives them a laboratory to do everything better. It's difficult in the previous Crimson White staffing to be able to put out a great 4-day-a-week newspaper and then have time set aside to do the digital stuff that needs to be done. So with a little less focus on the print part of this, they're able to spend more time doing other ways to deliver content than the ways that students expect.
I can't say where it is right now, but there's somewhere in stuff at my parents' house or somewhere a photo negative proof from the printing process that I got from the Tuscaloosa News when I had to proof CW pages, and it was one of the first times I had to go down there and correct some minor silly thing, but you know, I took that page proof with me, and I always thought it was the coolest thing because this is like a physical remnant of that one night, you know, we spent in the CW putting together whatever paper that was, and it was a real experience.